Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Blue Line Banter. My name is Tristan and I'm joined here by my amazing co-host Mackenzie.
Hello, my name is Mackenzie.
And we thought we'd start this episode off by introducing ourselves briefly and letting you know a bit about who we are. As mentioned at the start, my name's Tristan Battle. I'm a student at NAIT for radio. I've been a hockey fan all my life and hope to make a career out of it with sports media. Outside of hockey, I'm quite a geek. I play a lot of D&D and video games in my free time, and currently I'm playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, having a lot of fun with that, Valorant, and a lot of Pokemon stuff.
All right, and my name is Mackenzie. I am Tristan's co-host. We met in first semester, obviously, because I am also a first semester radio student, or first year radio student. And I'm also one of the voices for UK's men's and women's hockey. So if you don't like hearing me on ACAC TV or NR92, I apologize and don't know why you're listening to this. I'm also a Oilers fan since the day I can remember, and I am very busy with a couple jobs on the go, this and school. So this is my fun free time thing.
That is amazing. All right, so you gotten to know a little bit about who we are. So let's just dive right into the meat of the podcast, what you guys are all here for. Us ranting about hockey. Who doesn't love that? For our first episode and to start this whole podcast off, we kind of wanted to take a bit of a broader look at the season so far. Going onwards, it's going to be more of a week-to-week look across the NHL and the Oilers and stuff like that. But for this first episode, we wanted to kind of zoom out. So we're going to talk about our biggest surprises and disappointments across the NHL season so far. Mac, do you want to go first?
Sure, I will go first. So my biggest surprises, LA being so good. I thought that we were going to see the same team that we've seen for the last 4 years. That's pretty good, but can't get any offense going, which...
Yeah, I mean, you expect that from LA, but I think after listening to last year's exit interviews after their lost to the Oilers in 5, you could even tell their leadership group was tired of the 1-3-1, and it was only a matter of time with Jim Hiller now getting the full season behind the bench. They were going to move away from that, and they're getting steps from guys like Byfield, which is massive. Not Alex Laferriere, is that it? Yeah, him. He's had a good season. On the back end, Clark is giving him some offense on the blue line, and ex-Oiler Fogle, he's been a good bat for them, honestly.
Yes, and that was my next point, is that Fogle has done so well being there so far. Being paired with Draisaitl was really the only time that he was able to generate any kind of offense last year. So I was not expecting this kind of season from him. When I did my prep just a couple of days ago, he had 12 assists and 11 goals and 23 points in 38 games, which is a few more than what he has now. So he's been a really good fit. And also Darcy Kemper from Washington. He has been lights out, and that was a stellar trade.
Yeah, if you told me at the time of the PLD for Darcy Kemper 1-for-1 trade that was going to be a win-win, which we're going to get into a bit when I go, I would not have believed you. I thought I didn't know what the Capitals were doing, to be honest with that. I know Kemper didn't have a great year. PLD didn't have a great year in LA. So, the swap makes sense in a way. But I really did not see it going as well as it has for both teams.
Yeah, neither did I. And then my second surprise is the Metro the new Pacific? Because everybody talks about how the Pacific is so bad and it's so easy to get into playoffs, and it's always the same 3 or 4 teams. And then once you get past San Jose, Anaheim, Calgary now, and in the past Vancouver, it's fairly easy to get in. So now the Metro, Washington is in first, and then New Jersey, and then Carolina, and then Columbus, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York, and the Rangers, and then the Islanders. So in my mind, I don't think that Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, or the Rangers or the Islanders are going to make it in. Maybe Pittsburgh if they go on a massive run. And Columbus right now is actually sitting in a wild card spot, and I think that would be an amazing story considering everything that they have gone through.
Absolutely.
And I've heard that their fans are diehard and go crazy, even though their team has made it to the playoffs, I think, 4 times.
Well,
4 times and won one playoff round.
Yeah, but when
So-
they beat Toronto in the bubble year, I believe it was the bubble year, that they went crazy.
Yeah.
Like that was the year that Toronto was supposed to go all the way because that was the North Division,
Yeah.
and then they came everything together for the playoffs. And Toronto had been beating up on, much like Edmonton that year, beating up on some weak Canadian teams at the time. And yeah, I mean they were heavily favored, and watching Columbus go on that run, and obviously they had a bit of a different core at that time, but with everything that's happened to them this year, the fact they're in a wild card spot is kind of insane.
Yeah. And they have some good vets in there, and they also have really good young talent. So I would love to see Columbus get in, and those are my 2 biggest surprises of the season so far.
One more thing I want to add with Columbus, it's definitely helping their case is Zach Werenski being on a Norris caliber season, and he's turning into the D-man everyone had hoped he was going to be, and he's really proving that he is a number 1 in this league. They're also still at only a -1 goal differential in the wild card spot, which isn't bad given how the Capitals made it in last year. But yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think the difference between at least the Metro and the Pacific this year is the top of the Pacific is so strong. The Knights, the Oilers, the Kings, and then you kind of hit a little mushy with the Flames and the Canucks, and then the bottom is pretty weak.
Yeah.
You got the Sharks with 34 points.
Yeah.
Which
so
they're going to, they're trending upwards. But
yeah, and that's how it's been for the last few years, but everybody rags on it. Hockey Twitter is the most toxic place to be, but
absolutely.
it's the most entertaining place to be as well.
Oh, for sure.
So whenever people say it's so easy, I'm yeah, but you also have to get through Vegas, LA, Edmonton, and there's also those major rivalries as well. And Vancouver, Edmonton is always massive. Edmonton versus everybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah, Edmonton versus anyone in the West at this point.
Yeah.
There was the NHL put out a video earlier in the year, and they pulled a bunch of big names off of each team. It's who's your biggest rival? What team? Blah, blah, blah. And going through the West, I think Dallas said Edmonton. Colorado said Edmonton. I think the Jets said Edmonton. The Kings said Edmonton. The Flames said Edmonton. I think the Canucks also said Edmonton.
Yeah.
So it's Edmonton is the team to beat in the West. I know right now they sit second in the Pacific, 4 points back of the Golden Knights, a chance to cut that to 2 points with a win against the Wild tonight, who were pretty banged up, if I believe right, missing 3 of their top defensemen and possibly Kaprizov. But the Metro has been weird this year for sure, given the sudden fall off a cliff of the Rangers, and honestly, the Islanders have been a perpetual wild card 2 team for however many years, and I think what's really biting them is they don't have 3 million Bettman points at this point in the season.
Yeah, and the Islanders, I never expect them to do anything.
No.
Honestly, I love Sorokin. I think he's a great goalie.
Sorokin and Samsonov? That's their other goalie, no? No, Varlamov.
Yeah.
That's it. Those 2, I honestly feel, are being wasted
Yeah.
on the island. And I like Barzell. I
Yeah.
think he's talented. I don't think he'd be a middle 6 on a lot of contending teams, but
Yeah.
he's fine. I did like their added Duclair, but they don't have any star talent there. Bo Horvat isn't really a star. I don't know. The Islanders, Lou Lamoriello needs to not have a job. I'm sorry.
I wholeheartedly agree. And the downfall of the Rangers is something sad to see because low-key, I do like the Rangers. I like them as a team, not as an organization. I don't like...
That's a fair take.
Yeah. And
I don't like them as a team either, but that's just because they're the Rangers, and
yeah.
I don't know. There's something behind that, but they've been so good for so long before the cap and everything because they could just spend money.
Yeah, that's fair. Some of the original 6 teams, minus Toronto,
That's
I'm
fair.
you know what? I really like the story and just how long they've been in the league and all of that. So let's get on to your biggest surprises
Okay, so my first one, as a little kind of teased earlier, the Washington Capitals. Coming into the season, I liked the moves they had made in the offseason, if not confused by the PLD for Kemper swap. You know, like they had the cap space, they needed scoring help. I get it. But it also helps when a bunch of their younger guys have taken a step. And even not even their younger guys. Dylan Strome is having a career year. He's over a point per game. No one saw that coming. Who is it? Connor McMichael had one of the hottest starts in the NHL. He's been great on my fantasy team. I picked him up off waivers after the draft. The Chychrun for Jensen swap, going younger, has really worked. And I mean, we can't talk about them without talking about the only team running a cheaper goaltending tandem than the Edmonton Oilers with Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. Thompson has a 921 save percentage in 24 games.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody expected to see that after
The fact he didn't make Team Canada over Sam Montembeault, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. Like, as an Oilers stan, obviously, I'm always going to be like, Skinner, blah, blah, blah. But, like, let's be real. Logan Thompson should have made this team.
Yeah, like we are homers on this podcast.
Absolutely.
But we also know when other players are better, and we can accept that.
Absolutely. But, like, okay, Logan Thompson, 19 wins, 2 losses, 3 overtime losses, a 223 goals against average with a 921 save percentage. That is insane goaltending. And for the fact that they got him and Lindgren under, like, $3.5 million is just insane. And I don't know. I also underrated signing of the offseason, Matt Roy. I loved him in LA. I thought he was underrated in LA. I'm glad he's finally getting some recognition over in Washington. But like Andrew Moggiapani is having a decent year, which is something I never thought I'd say.
Yeah, and Matt Roy, when he played for LA, like he caused a lot of problems for the Oilers. He was really tough for them to play against, defend against, all of that. So I'm really glad that he's getting his recognition, and the fact that Washington is doing so well.
I know, it's crazy. And I mean, obviously, we can't talk about Capitals without talking about the staple, Alexander Ovechkin. Dude just defies age, which I guess we're seeing a lot more in the NHL right now, with like Crosby still putting up unreal points. Kopitar is leading the Kings. Like, you know, hitting 37, 38 isn't as detrimental to a career as once was. I mean, even in Edmonton, Corey Perry at 20 or 39 years old is still one of the better productive forwards in our bottom 6.
100%. And everyone keeps saying that the league is going younger, but is it really, when all of these players that have been in the league for almost either 20 years or almost 20 years are still putting up 20-goal seasons?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I don't think the league is necessarily getting younger. I just think the younger talent that's coming in is able to make the jump earlier. But, like, you know, you got the Oilers here that their core is like 28 to 31, and they're one of the oldest teams in the NHL. Doesn't help you got Derek Ryan and Corey Perry really bumping that number up. You know, Ekholm's getting up there. But, like, Stewart's like 26 or something. And, you know, we got Podkolzin, he's younger. And obviously losing Holloway and Broberg doesn't bring that number down anymore. Replacing him with, you know, Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson and Ty Emberson, who I will talk about him later. But yeah, biggest surprise, the Capitals. I expected a bit of a jump. I was not expecting them to be leading the Metro.
No, not at all.
You know, over halfway through the year. And like not only leading the Metro, leading the East.
Yeah.
By a decent margin. Toronto is not Toronto. Devils are second with 57. Toronto is third with 56. They lead with 63 points.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming, and...
Oh, and with that 63 points, they still have 2 games in hand over the Devils.
Yeah, I would be nervous if I were the Devils. And also, if you look at Money Puck, their odds every Sunday, Washington is a top 2 contending team with either a 10 or 11% chance of the Cup every week. So, and I was kind of waiting for them to fall off, especially when Ovechkin was hurt, but that did not happen.
No, it didn't. Like, they just kept going. Like, they kind of slowed down a little bit. Like, some guys like Strome have kind of fallen off. I mean, he's still over a point per game, so like, but he slowed down from his really hot start. PLD, I can think to that game against the Canucks they played where he had the 2 goals for them to win it in overtime. Wilson is, over a point or over half point per game, which you're not expecting from it. And it's amazing the way this team was able to pivot through an aging core dealing with injury through Oshie and Backstrom and, everyone else. They found a way to pivot while still keeping Ovi and Wilson. And I'm just really impressed with the way they decided to handle their, I guess, retool on the fly to keep the grade 8 chase for Gretzky alive.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
And then turn that into a Stanley Cup contender. Where you got Pittsburgh over there, who's kind of sitting in that mushy middle in the Metro, might be in a wild card spot, but, their core is still the same core as basically when they won the Cup, minus, like, Fleury and net. They don't have Phil the Thrill carrying them, I guess, but it'll be interesting to see what Pittsburgh does here in the future when these guys' contracts are up, because they don't have a lot in the pipeline other than, like, what's his name, Brandon Yeager?
Yeah, and I think Pittsburgh is definitely going to try and do what Washington did, but I don't believe that Dubas has the same skill set that Washington does, so I don't believe that they'll be able to get on that track.
Well, so far, every signing Dubas has done has been a dud.
Yeah.
Like, he comes out, tries to make, the big splash, staple himself in Pittsburgh with the Carlson signing. That's not looking good.
No.
Gave up so much to go get Carlson out of San Jose, and it's just not great. He's been fine, I think. I don't watch a lot of Pittsburgh hockey, but, like, I don't think that was the play. Was it Riley Smith they tried to bring in to play in their top 6, and that didn't work. And he's elsewhere after being not getting re-signed or traded. He got traded, I think.
And losing Gensel as well.
Losing Gensel, yeah.
Just brutal. Brutal.
And I don't hear a lot from Pittsburgh Twitter or other streams of Pittsburgh news that they have a lot in the prospect pool. I might be wrong about that. Like, I know everyone's super high on Yeager, but that's about the only name I hear.
Yeah.
Or else I believe it's Yeager. Or is it the McGarty now? They did that trade with Washington, did they not? Or Winnipeg for Brandon McGroarty? Is that how that worked?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
You start talking for a second. I'm going to find this out.
All right. Well.
Oh, actually, if you want to talk to Penguins, Malkin, his house got broken into
yes.
last night.
Yeah, and I feel like we would be dumb to not talk about this. So he's the 3rd athlete, I think the 3rd or the 4th, that had his house broken into and had his Stanley Cup rings stolen.
Yeah.
And none of his family was home, which is really good because when Joe Burrow's house got broken into, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She's like a TikToker model.
Okay.
Or Olivia? No. It literally doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But she was able to, she called her parents and was like, somebody's trying to break into Joe Burrow's house. And then the cops came, and I don't think they actually got anything. I could be wrong about that. But then, like, Travis Kelce's house was broken into, and, like, it was like $350,000 worth of cash was stolen, like, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I know the NFL sent out, like, a memo to every team basically being like, we're hearing rumblings of people trying to break into athletes' houses when they're gone. And this all happened when guys are away for away games. So it does and it doesn't surprise me that an NHL player's home was broken into because they are gone for crazy long stretches. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks because it sounds like they got, his 3 cup rings, and those are pretty irreplaceable if you can't get those back. So I really do hope they're able to track those down, because even if they somehow get like a replacement ring, it's not the same.
No, not at all. And also just having your home broken into, like, I know these are millionaires and they've made so much money, but also having your home broken into, and then that's all of your privacy gone and all your sense of safety just gone. So
100%. I did find it. I was right. They traded for Rutger McGroarty with Jaeger. So that's my bad. I kind of forgot that trade happened until now. But Rutger McGroarty is the one they have all this hype for, because he's the one who was like, I don't want to play in Winnipeg. And so Winnipeg was basically forced to trade him.
yeah, okay,
And
yes.
so they did that 1-for-1 swap. So other than him, I don't know who they have in their system. But we've run a little long on the surprises, so let's hop into the disappointments. Do
Alright.
you want to go first again?
Sure. All right.
All right.
This is me getting on my soapbox maybe,
Okay,
or
okay.
having a little bit of a rant.
Okay, well, you're famous for these, so let's hear it.
All right. The Bruins. They are brutal. The Bruins are brutal. And it
The
really...
Brutal Bruins, you might say.
Yes. And it's really, really disheartening to see Jake DeBrusco and Allmark go, and you sign Lindholm and Zadorov, who were okay in Vancouver.
Zadorov was okay during the playoffs because he fits playoff style hockey. Lindholm didn't do a lot.
No.
He kind of floated in Calgary, and everyone was like, well, I mean, who wants to play in Calgary? Wants to get traded and gets put with some talent. And then he got put with talent and did nothing. But at
Yeah.
the same time, he got put with Pedersen, who was doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, like, But he goes to Boston. I agree. He's still not looking great
No.
in that first line center role or wherever they have him playing now.
No. And also having so much get into the media when these are supposed to be closed door situations. And the whole Swayman contract thing, it backfired on Sweeney, it backfired on Swayman, and that should have never gotten out.
No,
And
it should have never. But
And it puts like such like distrust between players and management for that to get out, because players aren't leaking that. So who else would? That's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere that like the running theory was that Sweeney was leaking this so he could try and put pressure on Swayman from like the fans and the media to sign for whatever and just get it done. But he stood his ground and like respectable. But also this whole debate was over $250,000
Yeah.
a year.
That
And
may
like I
have-
get it, over however long they signed him, that's an extra couple mil. But at the same time, just dude,
Yeah.
so I would not be complaining over $250,000.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
But then the problem is you can hold out like that, then you need to back it up. He has not backed it up.
But also the fact that this went on for so long, it was guaranteed to affect his play. And also their defense, their offense is not great. And the Bruins have a mentality that if they put just big defensemen in front of their goalies, they will be fine, which is not the case anymore.
No,
And
it's not.
And it can't be the solution.
Well, it's also a thing of like, Swayman's never been asked to play this much before.
No, never.
And so like to take that risk with him of, we'll sign you as our number one, but like he was untested as a number one. He was a 1B behind Allmark for however many years.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, he's a great goalie and he's probably going to have a great career. But this year, like I have his stats pulled up. In 33 games, he's 15-15-3 with a 289 goals against average, which isn't terrible, but an 898 save percentage.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe, just slightly below average.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, I was a Swayman lover. I loved Swayman last year and the year before that. Like for the last few years, I have loved Swayman. I thought he was a great personality. He fit right into the Bruins organization and all of that.
I mean, who doesn't love the goalie hug? you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. But then I watched the Amazon series. And when I tell you, the moment that man pulled out the guitar and started playing it, I was like, why are we focusing on you playing the guitar when you're in this first round of playoffs? I do not care. And I do not like it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody that may be listening that likes Swayman and likes the way that they did that, because I hated it, and I'll be honest, it gave me the ick. I hated it so much, and now I can't. And that with like the contract thing, really, just put a bad taste of Swayman in my mouth. So there's that. And then also his headshot. Why does he look so scrawny in his headshot? And why do they always show it? Because you know what? He kind of looks like a bug.
A bug, eh?
This is so mean, but I'm sorry. It's the way I feel. I need to get it out. And I just hate it. And I, like, why? Why does his jersey look so big? Get one that fits. It's so
it's simple
bad.
like minor league hockey tactics. With a big baggy jersey, it'll just hit the fabric and like not go in the net. You know, it'll stop the momentum.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a tactic.
And yeah, and his whole like jersey bite thing that I'm just like, cringe, stop. Goalies are weird. And I used to love Swayman, and now I don't like him at all. And also the rumors of Marchand and Pasternak fighting. This is the most outlandish thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. And I will not believe it because those two are best friends. And the fact that Pasternak won't play on the same line as Marchie, that is such a lie. They have zero scoring depth, zero offense. So obviously they need to spread it throughout the entire lineup.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
And I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat here and say that it was somebody from Don Sweeney's camp that put that out there, because in the Edmonton game where they got shutout asterisks by the Oilers, and it was like the JV team playing the varsity team, even though they out-hit the Oilers, but I'm not even going to get into that.
Yep.
The fans started chanting, "Fire Sweeney." And what comes out immediately after that?
Yeah,
that
problems in the locker room.
Exactly. Like, it's so outlandish, and I do not believe it. And you know what? Thank God Marchand
That
put
response-
a lid on it. I loved it.
That response was fantastic.
Amazing. And this guy, he has this radio show on Boston, in Boston,
Well,
and
like,
he's been the one to like leak all of these things.
Especially like from the stuff that shouldn't be getting out.
Exactly.
From the because I think it was you who mentioned the Swayman stuff came from him. There's something else in there that you said they came from.
Firing their head coach.
Yeah,
as well.
that's it. That
Yeah.
they were firing Montgomery came out of him first.
Exactly. And who else has something to gain from this? None of the players would ever do that.
No.
And like, so you have somebody else that is in management that is doing it. It will not be Sweeney himself.
No,
because
but I mean,
why would he do that
Sweeney
himself?
gets the guy who refills the water cooler
Exactly.
to text a number that he gives
Exactly.
them, and
Because this guy is like, if Sweeney gets fired, I don't have a job. So I need to do whatever Sweeney tells me. So that is my little rant. I will stop there.
okay,
My next one is kind of sad.
okay, I'm ready.
Jeff Skinner being put in the bottom six and healthy scratch for now 3 games. I really believed that he could do some really awesome things here.
I was a
And-
firm believer of, oh my God, we got Leon wingers, Skinner and Arvidsson on his flank. We're going to have 2 scoring lines, a shutdown third pair line of Janmark, Henrik Brown, and an old line of good vets on the bottom.
Yeah,
And that has not at all how that worked.
no. And I trust Knobloch's judgment.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
trust that. I would trust that man with my life.
In Nobby, we
Like,
trust. In
yes.
Nobby, we trust.
So I'm not trying to get down on Knobloch or anything like that, because I am still a Skinner believer. I'm a double Skinner believer. I love both of them.
We believe in Skinners.
So in the last 10 games, Skinner has played really well.
He has, and that's the
But-
thing. When I was surprised, to see him getting healthy scratched here recently,
Yes.
after I thought he played he got healthy scratched, came back for 4 games, and he played really well.
Yeah.
And he was, I think it was 2 primary assists and that beautiful goal against Seattle. That
Yeah.
was stellar. And then he gets pulled out again, and now we're playing Josh Brown over him, and
Yeah.
how I guess you could sit there and be like, well, you're playing LA. They're the Rats. You want the size in the lineup, but at the same time, when something happened, Kapanen was the one to jump in.
Exactly.
So why are we playing Brown? And why we signed Brown in the first place, I don't know.
yeah.
But and no, I agree. The fact we're healthy scratching Skinner while he's playing well, I guess it just shows that Knobloch has an idea of who he wants in his bottom 6 come playoff time, and Skinner just doesn't fit.
Yeah, which sucks. And I hope that he can make the adjustments to his play for
100%.
what Knobloch is looking for, because obviously his defense is not great. His defensive play is not good, and that's why.
But like that's why I didn't mind when they were running the third line of Skinner, Henrik, Brown, because Henrik Brown more than covered.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, obviously both Henrik and Brown have a touch of offense, and Skinner was in those 4 games. He was driving that line. He was doing toe drags at the top of the circles and finding passes and getting into open spots, and I mean missing net on most of them, but he was there and he was creating offense.
Yeah.
And like I really liked that third line for a while, and then they moved Brown up to the top line and Hyman down, and then benched him. Like, I don't know. Navi's
Yeah.
doing some weird stuff, and like I'll never not doubt him because he has proven time and time again he knows what buttons he needs to push.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're still winning games, so like I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, fire Navi.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think it's weird that so we can't get rid of him. We signed him with a no move clause,
Yeah.
so he'd have to agree to go anywhere, and he's not going to want to do that because he wants to play in the Stanley Cup Finals or just the Stanley Cup playoffs in
Yeah.
general. And so like he probably sees here's his best chance to win a cup, and you know, we're not getting rid of him. I mean, I texted you yesterday while I was in a bit of a silly mood and was like, with Kane LTIR, and if we can find a way to move him, bring in JT Miller at exactly 8 mil. Obviously, the cap doesn't work for the seasons after that with the extensions we need, but it would be fun.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love that. I am like not the biggest JT Miller fan.
I get it. There's all this chatter about his locker room stuff and that he's, you know, a bit of a prick to play with and, you know, can be a cancer in the locker room. But these are all things we've heard with one Evander Kane.
Exactly.
And so, like, I'm like, for a playoff run, I give you a 2C option. Let's go nuclear all playoffs. Come on, give me JT. But realistically, no. We're going to get either John Klingberg in 2 weeks or David Savard at the deadline.
No.
No?
No. I don't want it.
Okay,
and I
don't
will
want
not
it?
support it.
No, okay, you don't want it, but be honest. What else are we doing here?
I just wait until the trade deadline. Like, that's all I want. I do not want to take somebody just because we're like panicking and we're like, we need to pick somebody up.
It's not a panic. There's really nothing out there. And the worst part is because of how open the East is, the sellers are becoming less and less. Like, if Montreal finds their way into a wild card spot, they're not selling Savard because they want to make the playoffs. So then, like, I think the runner-up name I've been hearing is out of Anaheim with Brian Dumoulin. Which, like, is he better than Stetcher? No. Is he bigger than him? Yes.
Don't trade Stetcher.
No, you don't trade him.
do it.
Stetcher stays as your 7. You don't trade him. He stays as your 7. And, like, he's your 7 for the playoffs. And if, you know, Dumoulin or Kulak or someone has a bad game. Kulak never has a bad game.
Yeah.
But
Kulak for Norris, am I right?
no, there's, like, 3 other Oilers defensemen I would put ahead of him in the Norris conversation. You know, one being Darnell Nurse, who's having a fantastic year. But, yeah, back to Skinner. I completely agree. Like, it's disappointing to see that he hasn't worked out here in Edmonton like we'd hoped. And I just hope over these next stretch of 40-some games leading into the playoffs, he can figure it out. But it's going to be hard because Kane's going to be coming back eventually, and there's just one more spot that he has to try and fight through to get in this lineup.
Yeah.
And if he's not beating out guys like Derek Ryan and Corey Perry, he's not beating Kane
No.
because Kane should be healthy.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Like, if he can come in like he did when we brought him in 2022, that series against the Flames, watching Kane was exhilarating.
It really was. It was like that was one of the funnest playoff rounds I've ever watched in my entire
Sometimes
life.
I forget we won that in like 5 or whatever it was.
It felt so long.
It felt so long because each game was like 8-7.
Seriously.
It was insane. Neither goalie could stop a beach ball, and like Hyman, Kane, McDavid, and Draisaitl put the team on their back and was like, all right, we'll score 8 goals a game.
Yeah. Okay, I have one final disappointment,
'Kay.
and then I will be done. And it's going to be short. St. Louis, if you're going to offer sheet a team, at least be good and have some consistency, because I'm sick of watching you look like the 90s Oilers and then look like you can't complete a pass.
Yeah,
I'm over
real.
it. I'm done. And I hope you guys miss the playoffs.
No, if you're going to offer sheet our 2 best prospects, and like, don't get me wrong, those prospects are doing really good over there in St. Louis.
It's painful.
It
It's
is a little painful. I do miss you, Holloway and Broberg. All right, you know, you are missed. But But also not as missed because I fucking love Ty Emberson.
And Podkolzin.
Podkolzin's great.
Both of them.
You can confirm I have been saying since the start of the year, since we traded for him, that Ty Emberson was going to be this great fit as a defensive third pair guy, and I have not been proven wrong. And last night's game or 2 days ago, against the Kings, you have 2 minutes left. LA pulls their goalie. Who do you have out there on defense? Ekholm Emberson. It's like you are in a tight game and you're throwing that kid out there. He has so much trust in by this coaching staff, and I love it because he keeps proving them right.
Yes.
He not only is he great defensively, he can get the puck up the ice. He can skate, and in the last few games, I noticed a lot in the Chicago game where he ringed it off the post, almost getting his first NHL goal. He's just skating up the ice more and shooting, and I love it. I'm waiting for that first goal. He's probably going to be my next jersey as long as we get this extension in.
Nice. All right, let's move on to your biggest disappointments.
So I've only got the one, and
Okay.
there's a bit of an asterisk here because they have turned it around a bit. The Detroit Red Wings, right? When I was making their show prep, it was 2 games. It's been a bit. There's been some delays, but we're here. The Detroit Red Wings, I had a lot. I don't know. After last season and missing the playoffs by the 1 point, the whole thing with the Philly game and pulling their goalie, whatever. I really thought they were on the right direction. And just seeing the way they started, no one's looked good. And a lot of it comes because some of the young stars aren't developing or taking that next step yet. Like Raymond and Seider are still good players, don't get me wrong, but haven't really taken that step. Larkin's doing all he can. But they just
Kane hasn't been that good either.
No, Patrick Kane hasn't been fantastic for them like he was, and I don't know, they've been mid. And I mean, I think their bright spot has been Cam Talbot, at least through the early parts of the season.
I agree.
He was giving them fantastic goaltending, but they weren't able to produce offense at all. And I mean, looking at their defensive core, I don't think they're having Seider and followed by 5 third pairing defensemen is really a great strategy.
No, not at all.
I'm sorry, but the Yzer plan is not working. However, this is where the asterisk comes in. They fired their coach, hired ex-Oilers coach, Todd McLellan, and in his debut, they lose 6-2 to the Leafs. And it's okay, the coaching changes didn't do anything. The coaching bump doesn't exist in Detroit. And then he drops a banger quote at practice and tells the boys to just play fucking hockey. And it's oh shit, why didn't we think of that? And now they won 7 in a row. Last night they lost, breaking that streak to the Kraken, I believe, 6-2 or something like that. Yeah, that's a bit of an oof. But they're 7-3-0 in their last 10.
That's a good stretch of games.
It is a really good stretch of games. And even if we go back through this 7-game win streak. They lose 5-2 to Toronto. They beat the Capitals 4-2. Good win.
That's a huge win.
Penguins 4-2. They're still ahead of you in the standings. They beat the Blue Jackets 5-4. Hey, that team's in a playoff spot. They beat the Jets 4-2. I'm seeing a lot of
That's
forwards.
also
Beating
a
the Jets,
massive win.
Oh yeah, beating the Jets is huge. I mean, they're a good team. They beat the Senators 3-2. They beat the Blackhawks 5-3, and then they beat the Kraken 6-2. Last night lost to the Sharks 6-3.
That's a trick game.
Yeah, Sharks are a trap game. However, I think what's going to be really telling of the Red Wings here is going to be their next stretch, where they play the Panthers tomorrow, followed by the Lightning, the Stars, the Flyers, the Canadiens, the Lightnings, the Kings, and then the Oilers to round out the month.
Yeah, that's a massive stretch of games.
It is.
And they're going to have to be on for about 92% of them.
100%. No, I wouldn't even say there's any light games in here. The Flyers can beat you. Mm-hmm. Any team under Tortorella can beat you.
Yep.
And especially with Michkov being a stud.
Yep.
And the Canadiens have been playing good hockey. So I don't know. You can't really count any of the teams out in their next stretch. So I think it'll be very telling of where this team is over this next stretch. So I'm interested to see if they're able to continue to trend upward. And the crazy part is they're not that far out of a playoff spot.
No, they're not. So
So Bruins occupy the first wild card. Flyers hold the second with 4. They're 4 points back of the second wild card
yeah, that's not out of reach at all.
with one less game played. So they have a game in hand. So they win that game, you're 2 points back of wild card 2.
Yeah.
The East is so weird right now.
It is. It is. It's so weird. Like you have these crazy, insanely good teams, and then the ones that are starting to come together, and then the ones that are just bad and falling apart.
Sabres, we're talking about you.
All right. Should we get into trophy predictions?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go first with this one.
Yeah,
I'll
sounds
give
good.
I'll give you the break. I'm just going to run through these really quick, and then we can talk about them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about our trophy predictions halfway through the season. And just kind of like the major ones.
Yeah.
So, starting off, we got the Art Ross. I have a feeling this is going to go to one Nate Mack.
Yeah. I
He's
agree.
just going to keep burying empty nets until he gets there. I think
Yeah.
he's already got 13 empty net goals this season.
Which is crazy
That's
because
crazy.
the Oilers can't score on an empty net to save their
The
lives.
others have like the 3 all year or something. Whatever
Yeah.
Jack Michael said. I don't know. It was something insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, McKinnon has 13 on his own out of the 18. That dude just knows how to, nothing but net. For the Hart, I'm going to go a bit out. I don't feel so confident in this one anymore as when I wrote it down. I did put Kirill Kaprizov.
Really?
Yes, because of voters' fatigue.
Okay.
And there's also something to say about him carrying his team into a playoff spot with $14 million in dead cap.
That is so true.
They're sitting second in the Central, ahead of the Stars and the Avalanche with $14 million in dead cap, and he is leading the way.
Yeah. I always forget that they have $14 million
Yeah,
in
right,
dead
like-
cap. Like,
The Parise
And-
Suter buyouts
yeah.
are still biting them.
Which is just-
I think
yeah.
it's done after this season, which is going to be insane with the projected $9 million cap bump we're expecting.
yeah.
That's like 24 million or something. I don't know. I can't do math, but that's a lot of cap that opens up that they can go make a move with.
Yeah. I agree.
Selke, Leon Draisaitl. This is a bit of a homer take, but I'm pushing the narrative. Okay, if we start the narrative now, the Selke is such a narrative-driven trophy, and with Marchand out of the, not Marchand, Bergeron out of the way, finally, it's open again.
It is.
And Leon's defensive game is a lot better than people think, and
It
he doesn't get enough credit for it.
It flies under the radar, and it makes me so sad. Because
Listen,
the hustle you see from him is
Absolutely.
so good.
We gotta, get a Selke or a Leon Selke before Celebrini comes in and just starts stealing him. Because I promise
Yeah.
you, he's going to. I'm very high
Yeah.
on that kid. Calder. Speaking of which, Macklin Celebrini. I know it's kind of a debate between like him, Hudson, and Mitchkov, but like if you're looking at the best all-around player doing the most for their team, it is easily Celebrini.
Yeah, I agree.
That kid is fun to watch. Rocket Leon.
Obviously.
Obviously, I don't think he's going to slow down anytime soon. And if he can learn how to score on the power play again, he's going to put home 70.
Yep.
But I don't expect him to do that. I kind of think he's going to hit like 58.
Probably.
And it kind of helps Matthews having a bit of a down year and missing games with injuries. Norris, I kind of spoke of this earlier. Zach Werenski. I don't know if he's going to win it, but I think he has a really good outside shot. Because, like, if you look at a lot of the normal candidates, Hughes, I don't know, his team's not doing good enough, I think, for him to really be considered, given where their expectations were.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, he's still playing well.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, he's gotten to the habit of just giving it to the D-man with the most points, and I don't think that's what it should be.
I know.
If you're going to do that, add the Bobby Orr Award and give it to the D-man, the most, like, offensive defenseman of the year, and then leave the Norris for your defensive defenseman, which is what Werenski would be, or your best all-around defenseman.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put him because I really couldn't think of anyone else who I thought deserved it at this point. Because, like, your Yossi's, no. So, like, I don't know, Hedman, he's not really doing much. So, I don't know. Even in Edmonton, like, I could say here, Nurse for Norris. I love that hashtag Nurse for Norris. Because he's having a great year, but, like,
He'll never win it, and we know that.
no, Zach
And
Werenski.
it's just funny. It's funny to say Nurse for Norris.
It is. It rhymes, and it's good. Vesna, this is a lock. It's Connor Hellebuck.
100%.
He has as many shutouts as he does regulation losses this season.
Which is crazy.
It
like
is.
that's insane.
That's an insane stat.
insane.
So that Jack Adams, Spencer Carberry, Washington Capitals, that usually just goes to the coach which team overachieves the most and usually has the biggest bump in standings. So That's just, you know, last year was talking. Yeah, I think it's like I don't. I'm going with Spencer Carberry on that one. And the President's Trophy. This one kills me. This one hurts my soul. The Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
It kills me to say it as an Oilers fan. I'd love to win the Pacific and everything and win the West and have all. Vegas is so fucking good. And just wait until, you know, Mark Stone goes on LTIR and they trade away a piece and suddenly JT Miller is a Golden Knight. And then they find a way to make the cap work by, you know, dumping someone else. Or I don't know, but they're Vegas and they find a way. They find that best player who's somehow available. You know, Thomas Hurdle. Noah Hannafin, they find these best players. It's like, we'll find a way. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
So that's my list. We're going to send it to you. See what you have to say.
So mine is not entirely the same, but somewhat the same.
Yeah, I expected as much.
And I just want to preface this. I am a homer for putting Leon for 3/4 of these.
You know, you could make the argument for a lot of these that Leon deserves that he's having a hell of a season.
Exactly. But I do have the Art Ross going to Nate Dogg because I know you don't listen to Spit and Chicklets.
Not often.
But they talk about how he's doing like these weird pool workouts right now. And apparently this has really elevated his game. So I'm big on the pool workout train.
Huh.
I think this is really...
Like aquarobics?
He won't say what it is. But he's confirmed that he works out in a pool.
Like, is it his own private pool, or is he going to, like, a community pool? Like, is he going to, like...
It's probably his own pool.
You never
You're
know.
Nate McKinnon.
I mean, yeah, okay, you are Nate McKinnon, but, like, what if he's just going to, like, your local rec pool, and he's just, like, doing some... You see, like, this, like, you know... How old is he? 29?
Yeah, 29 or 30.
Yeah, so you're just, like, this worker, and you see this 29-year-old absolutely shredded dude in your pool doing, like, jumping jacks at 6 in the morning. How funny would that be?
Hilarious. And then... For Hart, I have Leon.
Yeah, it is seeming to trend that way.
Yeah.
Apparently, I saw a post cannot give credit
from
to
Bardown.
Was it Bardown?
Who didn't have Leon on their list, and they had Connor McDavid.
No, it was a post
because that ticked me off.
That did tick me off. Why is even on the betting sites? Connor is ahead of Leon in the Hart, but for some reason, it's like Connor's been the second best Oiler all season. Don't get me wrong, he's still being Connor McDavid, but he's been the second best Oiler all season.
Yeah.
But no, it was a post and like they polled a bunch of like ex-coaches and players and stuff, and Leon got first in the Hart voting, I think, for every single person on that they polled. It was all anonymous, so we don't know who, but allegedly the voters are going Leon. Which makes me happy.
As they should, because I also have this little line in here. This is some of the best offensive and defensive hockey we have ever seen him play.
Absolutely.
And for him to be not in discussion is loser casual fans watching, and I have no time for them.
Loser casual fans.
Yep.
Okay. No, I agree with the take for her. Leon deserves a Hart.
Yeah. For Selke, I would love Leon to win it. But I could also see Nico Hischier winning it.
He deserves one, to be honest. Like
yeah.
I think he got robbed. He got robbed last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember who won it last year, but they didn't deserve it.
Yeah. So
he sure is a solid 2 days forward.
I would be okay with that. I wouldn't like cause big stink.
No, but I'm starting the narrative. Get Draisaitl to Selke.
Yes.
Because like then you can rub that in Matthew's face and be like, I'm better than you. I want a Selke too. Where's your Selke, Matthews? You got a McDonald's burger? I got a Selke.
So for my Calder winner, I have Macklin Celebrini or Michkov.
It's really tight.
It's very tight. And what I think it's going to come down to is who plays the most impactful 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are a rookie, it's almost inevitable that you get injured.
Absolutely.
Because these are like 40-year-old guys almost, 200 pounds that have been in this league for 10, 20 years, whatever it is.
Health is a big part of the Calder. I stand by the fact that Bedard did not deserve the Calder last year.
No,
it
he
should
did
have been
not.
Brock Faber. Brock Faber got robbed. He played all the games. He was a huge impact on that Minnesota blue line. Brock Faber got robbed. Bedard, you didn't deserve anything, you bubble-wearing child.
Yes.
I don't want to say anything bad. He's younger than me.
Yes, I agree. And, sorry, so, Bedard, we do love you, but last year you didn't
No,
play
you missed
the full 82.
McDavid lost his Calder to a 23-year-old Artemi Panarin because he missed too many games. But when Bedard does it, it's fine. What? No.
You know who I'm talking to about this? Elliot Friedman.
Oh yeah.
Elliot Friedman, my worst enemy, but also my favorite person to listen to on Fridays and Mondays, because he has openly said, I could not vote for Connor McDavid for the Calder Trophy because he missed so many games. And then what does he do with Connor Bedard? Because he says he's very open about who he votes for
100%.
because like people get so riled up about it.
Yep.
And he said, I voted for Celebrini because he was so impactful,
Bedard?
blah, 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 blah. Or, sorry, Bedard.
All good. I got you.
Because he was so impactful. And I was like, he also missed almost as many games
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
McDavid. So how do you justify that? How do you justify that?
You don't. It's just kind of a thing of you said it at the time to be like, I can't vote for McDavid. I'm going to do the special
Yes.
choice because McDavid's the easy choice. But we're going to go with
Exactly.
23-year-old Russian Artemi Panarin. Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
But like the hype around Bedard was like, it's fucking Bedard. He won it in July.
Literally. So that, and then my Jack Adams is actually different than yours.
Oh, okay,
I have Sheldon O'Keefe
okay.
because he went from Toronto, which was an insane place to be. You're in a bubble.
Absolutely.
Every other week, people are being calling to fire you.
I kind of forgot he was still a coach, to be honest, because I haven't heard him in media for so long.
I know, and he's really done a good job of like bringing together that young group in New Jersey.
100%.
And they have structure. They can play well, and they missed playoffs last year with all of the injuries and all of that. But he's done such a good job with this young core, and I think they are going to somewhat be a force in playoffs.
I am still worried about their goaltending.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, Markstrom and Allen have been fine for them. And, like, I mean, you saw the one game a couple days ago where Markstrom made those 3, like, highlight reel saves all in the same game. I think it was against Utah. And, like, he's got flashes. I mean, we've seen a lot of Markstrom over here in Edmonton. But Markstrom, Allen doesn't really, like, inspire a lot of playoff confidence in me, given we've seen Markstrom fall apart in the playoffs.
That's true.
And how much playoff experience did Allen get in Montreal? No, what? None? Because the one time they made it, he was behind. Was he even behind Price, or was he even in the system? I don't know. But Price carried them through that playoff run against Tampa. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think they do have some scary offensive threats, and their blue line's not bad, especially with Pesci, I think, who ended up there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Luke Hughes is taking that next step. And they have good. Looking at who they'd have to face, like, I'd take Washington over them.
It would be a major upset.
And even in the playoffs, I'd probably take the Hurricanes over them.
Yeah, I agree. The Hurricanes, they fly under the radar in like so many
love
ways.
getting out in the Eastern Conference Final. So I bet on them until then.
Yeah. For the Norris, I had a hard time with this one because all of our usual candidates aren't that good.
No.
But I can see Makar making like a really big run.
Yeah.
And being in like the top 3 for voting.
Yeah.
So that's just what I put.
No, that's fair. I mean, Makar is Makar.
Exactly.
It's going to be Makar.
Rocket, I have Leon, obviously. President's Trophy, I initially had Winnipeg, but your Vegas argument has me convinced, so I'm going to take Vegas.
Okay.
But I hope that they have a first-round exit like Boston did, or Florida made it further, but then they ended up losing. So that's what I would love to see. I
unfortunately cannot see Vegas slowing down right now, especially the way Hill and Samsonov are playing behind them, and their D-core is the best in the league, and like they're so good, and it's like it's infuriating because the Oilers are winning games and they're not gaining ground. I mean, last night Nashville really helped us out.
Yeah.
So if we can beat the Wild tonight, that'd be huge. But yeah, it's just so hard to see Vegas. Like, I know the Jets are ahead of them at the moment, but the Jets have always fallen off in the second half. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I could see it being the Jets, to be honest, and then them having a swift first-round exit.
Yes.
But I'm hoping the President's Trophy curse takes the Golden Knights.
Me too. And then my Vesna is Hellebuck.
There's no other goalie.
There's no other goalie. And also, he has amazing regular seasons. But
Absolutely.
the reason they have these first round or second round, if they get lucky, exits is because Hellebuck gets overplayed during this regular
Absolutely.
season.
He's going to play 66 games this season.
Which is, like, you cannot keep that pace
No,
going into playoffs because it's
absolutely not.
another level. So I believe he's going to win again, and then they're going to lose, and he's just going to be exhausted.
Yep, I 100% agree. I mean, you saw it last year against the Avalanche. He was just honestly, it looked like their entire team was too tired to keep up the speed.
Yeah.
So we ran extremely long on
We have.
just the NHL talk. So why don't we save our In the Intermission segment for next week? We'll introduce that next week.
Yep.
And we will just wrap up today's episode with a little bit of just straight Oilers talk.
Yep, I'm in for that.
Okay, so I want to touch on very quickly Evander Kane. We kind of talked about him coming back, what that's going to look like with this team. Now coming out last week that he had successful knee surgery, and that is a 4 to 6 week recovery time that is eating into his sports hernia recovery time. So you're doing the math, and suddenly it's like, hey, that's getting pretty close to the end of the season.
Very close.
Does he play at all before the playoffs? It's like, if not, what do we do with that $5 million cap? And like I said, I jokingly trade Jeff Skinner and I have $8 million for Miller. But like, I'm looking at the market and like, I wouldn't even know what to spend it on.
But
'Cause, like,
somebody else is going to come in. Like, there is going to be some crazy trade.
Who?
There always is. I don't know.
No, there's not.
Yes.
We have been spoiled by the one Ekholm deal. And now we're all sitting here like, we need to find the next Ekholm deal. But like, it doesn't exist. Because like, even Ekholm, at the time we traded him, by December, his name was out there. His name was whispered. Like,
Yeah,
it was.
that's true.
He was on Frank Saravalli's trade targets board by this time last year. You're looking at his trade targets board this year, and it's like, I don't want Provorov. Like,
No.
he's okay. You open up $5 million, you could bring him in. I don't want Provorov. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not defense. Rasmus Ristolainen, keep him away, please. No offense, Risto, you're having a good year this year, but like, historically, you haven't been great. And I don't think you're a fit next to Darnell.
No.
Which is what we're looking for. Or we're looking for someone to play with Emberson, and we're moving Kulak up full time. Which, again, I can't repeat this enough. I fucking love Ty Emberson. The kid is just so good, okay? He is so good. He's so trustworthy. Yeah, does he get a lot of points? No. Do you need him to? No. That's why you have Bouchard. That's why you have Nurse. That's why you have Ekholm. So, like, and, like, Stetcher's been great. I don't.
Yeah.
The only thing that's against Stetcher is his size. If he was 2 inches taller, we wouldn't be looking for a D-man. We'd be looking for another 7th.
Yeah. I would say also, like, in recent play, Stetcher's penalties have been
True.
a very sore spot.
And, like, but I think that's just a product of his effort.
Yeah.
And him just, I guess, him being smaller. So, like,
Yeah.
he's not able to keep up, so he's got to, like, kind of grab, and he got to throw a stick in there. And,
Yeah.
got to get a little cheeky with it, and sometimes the other team's just like, oh, hey, look, a stick, I'm going to slip on it. Woo,
Yeah.
Hey, look, a tripping call.
Yeah.
Or a hook, or a hole. And I'm not saying they're, diving every call. He's getting a stick in there 100%. But it's
For
just,
sure.
I don't know. You look at the market, and even if you're looking at guys with, like, term, I mean, I've been high on Connor Murphy. I kind of think that could be something, but he's not, like, he doesn't move the needle a lot. One guy I am extremely interested in, and there's actually a second name that's come out. The first one I've preached about, Henry Okaharu out of Buffalo. He's like 24. He's got decent defensive numbers. They kind of mirror Emberson's in San Jose. I think he could come in and play on your third line with Emberson, and then you move Kulak up. The other one, kind of now coming out, as Seattle has talked about being willing to open some guys or move some guys, Jamie Alexiak.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say, Brandon Tanev, the other Tanev.
The other Tanev, yeah. No, I want his brother.
Okay,
But Toronto's not giving him.
no, because when you said Seattle, I thought you were gonna say Tanev, and I was like, don't you dare say that. He is an AHL player on an NHL team. He does not deserve to come
why is
into...
Brandon Tanev catching strays? We didn't even bring him up.
Because I saw on
You're
Twitter...
clearly heated about Brandon Tanev.
Because I saw somebody on Twitter be like, Brandon Tanev is the answer. And I was like, are you stupid? Are you stupid?
Yes, it's Twitter.
I am not somebody that gets into the Twitter replies, and I had to like close the app and like just remove myself because I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read on this app, and I've read a lot of stupid things on here.
No. I am not here for Brandon Tanev.
Okay.
I'm here for Jamie Alexiak.
Okay, that's fine.
I think he could be another potential kind of underrated pickup. I think he's like 4.1 mil or something for the rest of the year. So like, I think he's obviously like I'd love Adam Larson coming back, but that's not happening.
No.
I'd love Eberle to come back. That's not happening. Actually, I wouldn't want Eberle back. There's no spot.
Eberle and Hall can't come back. We love you, but you cannot come back.
No,
there is no room for you in our lineup.
No, there's not. I mean, I'm even looking at our lineup when Kane is healthy. We have too many forwards, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
I love depth, but like, okay, so let's play this out. Top line. Let's say he comes back, he's healthy, he's producing, and you put him back with McDavid. So you're going Kane, McDavid, Hyman as your top line. Beautiful. I'm not breaking up that second line.
No,
Podkolzin,
not at
Draisaitl,
all.
Arvidsson, you're staying. So Nuge is getting dropped down somewhere. Third line in the playoffs, I kind of want to run Henrique, Janmark, and Brown.
Obviously.
And so you're moving Nuge down to fourth line center, and your options are like Kapanen, Perry. I feel like I'm missing someone. I mean, Skinner, Ryan.
I think you have everybody.
So you're running like Nuge at 4C with, I would go probably Kapanen and Perry at this point.
Yeah, like both of them have solidified their spots in the lineup.
And what a top 12 that is.
Seriously.
And then you still have Skinner and Ryan. And, I mean, we just recalled Noah Phillips. So we're obviously giving him a look to see what he can do at 4C. So if that's a plan, like, what is happening?
I don't know. I would love to be in, like, the coaching meetings trying to figure out what to do with all these forwards because there's so many. There's
100%.
so much skill. And then our bottom six has so much grind.
Yeah.
And I will not stand for anybody saying we're not physical.
We are physical. We're physical. Like, we're not like a big hitting team, but like, I don't know. People like to point at that Bruin game where it's like, oh, they killed us. We just got killed slot. It's like, okay, but we won 4-0.
We outskilled them. Like, it was the JV team playing the varsity team. It's when the other team is obviously so good that you are just like, let's just run them over and hope that they don't kill us. And then we still killed them.
Yeah, like, I don't. And, like, I know there's been a lot of instances this season that you look back at the Bruins game where Zadorov ran Skinner and no one responded. It was like, what do you want him to do? They were going on the power play. Zadorov's on the ice laying there. Like, you want Bouchard to go stand on top of him and punch him? Like, that's an immediate, like, 4 right there. Like, what do you want from him? And I feel like, and the Skinner came out after the game was like, I don't want them fighting him. He's massive.
Exactly.
And, like, but then, again, you look at the game against LA where LaFerriere grabs McDavid's leg and slams him to the ground. And the first one in, no hesitation, is Kapanen because he's like, well, that's not flying.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I get the narrative that we're not physical because we don't just go and hit.
Yeah.
But that's because we're a possession team. We don't hit a lot. Our hit numbers aren't high because we are in control of the puck for 65% of the game.
And also we're smart about when we hit and when we fight. At the beginning of the season, Perry needed to drop them every other game because nobody could get like emotionally into it.
No.
And now that we don't need to be doing that. And we are a skill hockey team. We are not like the 80 or 90s Flyers, whatever, that would just run everybody over. They didn't care who you were. So to have like the narrative that we're not tough and we don't hit enough and blah, 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 the NHL has changed.
Oh, 100%. So I just want to look forward a little bit to tonight's game against the Minnesota Wild. Looking at their lineup, they most certainly are. At least looking at the projected lineup on dailyfaceoff.com. No Kaprizov.
Really?
Their top line is now Boldy, Marco Rossi, and Matt Zuccarello. And, like, Joel Eriksson Ek is supposedly back in, which is good for him. Ex-Oiler Devin Shore supposedly making his way into the lineup.
Okay, love to see that. I love Devon Shore.
Yeah, Devin Shore he was a good Oiler.
He was
a good locker room guy.
I was just gonna say he was a locker room guy. He was there for the vibes.
Yeah. So the Mild missing their top point producer in Kaprizov, and if you look at their D core, it's not great. Top pair of Jacob Middleton and John Merle. So they're missing Faber.
Is Faber hurt? I hadn't heard anything about that.
Let me check my fantasy lineup real quick.
Yeah.
Because I got him there, and if he has a little O next to him, I'm going to be upset. I mean, this has been a terrible year for me in fantasy.
That's
I
fair.
took Skinner in, my draft. I took Marchessault.
Yeah. It's been brutal.
Yeah,
but
Faber listed as day-to-day. So no Faber. Second pair, I've never even heard of this guy, Declan Chisholm, put next to Zach Bogosian. And another ex-Oiler who I honestly forgot was even on this team, Travis Dermott.
Oh my God.
Lined up next to David Jiricek.
Yeah.
I forgot we ever had Dermott.
And that was not that long ago.
No.
Nope.
I mean, they picked him up the day after we beat them 7-1.
Yeah, he did. Or they did, I guess.
So I guess Travis Dermott revenge game.
I guess.
If you're a bettor, I throw a little shekels
Yeah.
down on the Dermott anytime goal.
I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. This also feels like a trap game.
It does, but also we have statistically been better at beating them at home. Are we at home
On the
tonight?
road. We're on the road.
Well, we have statistically bad time winning in St. Paul. However, we beat them
Also
last
at
time
home.
7-1.
Also at home. Because I've been to, I think, 2 Wild games in the last 2 years.
We just have a hard time beating the Wild.
That is true.
I don't know what it is. They're like a kryptonite or something.
Yeah.
We have in the past struggled to beat the Wild.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm scared they're in a playoff spot. With 14 million dead cap. However, we beat them 7-1 last time. So, maybe we can conjure that magic again. Projected starting goalie for them, if I can find it, is going to be one Philip Gustafsson.
Oh, really? I was not expecting that.
Torched him last time.
Yeah.
So I guess, he is their starter. So gotta have your trust in him. You can't pull the Calgary and every time they face us, bench Markstrom for Vladar.
No, you cannot do that because that instills no confidence in your goaltender and then just makes the other team swim around like sharks.
Exactly. So, yeah, what do you got? What are you predicting for tonight's game? Any thoughts?
I hate projections and predictions and stuff because I am always off and I feel like when I speak things into existence, it goes reverse.
Mm-hmm. So that's not ideal.
No, it's not.
Unfortunately for you, I don't have those same superstitions.
I know you don't.
We're going
you don't.
4-1 Oilers.
Okay.
And we're going to say Perry gets one.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah. We are out of time.
Yeah, we have class in 10
we have
minutes,
class in
so
like
we
10
gotta
minutes.
go.
Yeah, we ran a little long, but hey, this first episode was amazing, I think. Mac,
Yeah.
thank you for joining me, and I
Yes.
cannot wait to do our next episode next
Yeah.
week. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to keep your eyes out for next Wednesday. We will be releasing every Wednesday at noon. So, yeah, I hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed.
Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and tell your friends, tell your boss, tell your mailman, tell the Tim Hortons worker about us. We have absolutely no qualifications to be speaking on any of this stuff, but it's a little bit fun.
That's also the great thing of the internet. We don't need to have qualifications.
Exactly.
We just get to do this.
Anybody can do anything, and that's what we're doing. So have a great rest of your day whenever you're listening. And this was Mackenzie and Tristan.
See ya.